Is that a consolidated school district?
I've already unmuted.
It's unmuted.
I'm not gonna watch it alone. Almost over.
Does John show up on there? He said he. John, can you hear us?
Hang on 1 second. He might not be able to talk. Come on.
So this is just one pickup. And then.
Yes. Okay, Don, can you hear us now?
Talk.
He's a panelist, so he should just have to himself.
I can hear you now. Yeah,
All right.
I'm good.
Can you hear me now?
You ready? You ready? Okay. I'll give you 2 seconds. All right. It is 6 o'clock and we are going to start tonight with the Board of Zoning Adjustments meeting. Can I get a call, please?
Brendan Swoboda,
Here.
Tony Davis, Ben Lewis, John Sessoms,
Here.
Jerry Harris, Frank Langford,
Here.
Devin Murphy,
Here.
Joey Ankle,
Here.
Jeff Safer.
All right, the only item on the agenda tonight are the approval from the minutes from 11/21. If there's any discussion, let's hear it. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Tony, you make most to approve the minutes of the board adjustment of 7/21 or 11/21. Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from 11/21. There's no old, new, or other business on this one, so I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. So now we're gonna roll right into the December 5th Planning Commission agenda. With a roll call, please.
Brendan Swoboda,
Here.
Tony Davis, Ben Lewis, John Sessoms,
Here.
Jerry Harris,
Here.
Frank Langford,
Here.
Devin Murphy,
Here.
Joey Ankle, Jeff Safer.
Not here. Okay, first item is number 3, the approval of the minutes from 11/21/23.
I'll motion to approve the minutes from 11/21/2023. Second.
Right, we got a motion and a second. No admin approvals, no old business, so let's roll into our first new business item, which would be A. The vacation 2305, to vacate rear yard utility and drainage easement from 25 feet to 7 feet on 901 Maple Street. If that applicant is here.
Got Dana Rosa on the Zoom call.
What?
I got Dana Rosa on the Zoom call.
Okay, are you the applicant? Okay,
I'm representative.
perfect. You just give us a little rundown on what you're wanting to do here?
They are wanting to put a pool in the back, and to do that, they would have to go from the 25-foot and reduce it down to allow the pool in there.
Okay, at this point, I'll hand it over. Eric, is this one yours?
Yes, so their request is to vacate 18 feet of a 25 rear utility and drainage easement for an in-ground pool located on 901 Maple Street in Lanebridge subdivision. With the final plat dedicating all building setbacks to be utility and drainage easements.
What kind of existing infrastructure do we have in there, Eric?
So we saw a existing covered porch. We saw on our aerials that there was a tree in the yard. We don't know whether that's since been removed or not.
The trees have been removed. They're gone.
Okay, so they're not showing.
It's like there's mention of a gas.
There is a gas line, shown in the back, in the rear. Utility easement, so that needs to be taken into consideration. Black Hills Energy came back saying we need at least 36 inches of clearance between the gas line and the edge of the easement. So that needs to be accounted for and adjusted accordingly. It does not, at this current request, does not meet that requirement. So the pool is shown to be currently approximately, the pool is shown to be 12.5 feet from the building. The size of the pool is approximately 450 square feet. They want to include a rock patio with the construction, and there exists a koi pond where the pool is going.
So you said the current request doesn't meet Black Hills' requirement of the 3-foot separation, is that correct?
No, correct, yes.
Is that the 7 feet or the 3?
7 feet.
Using right here.
Staff recommends that the reduction be made to 10 feet to give adequate space for the maintenance of the existing utilities such as the gas line. That would still leave 10 feet between the house and the pool to allow for the construction of the patio. We need to account for the apron around the pool being outside of the utility and drainage easement as well. There's still a couple minor corrections for the vacation plat, none of which would dramatically alter the layout of it's shown.
Sounds like we're waiting on AT&T and Brightspeed as well.
Cox came back and they said they have no objections. They would take into account a comm line, which is also existing on the in the easement. If that gets damaged or relocated, that would be at the owner's expense.
No AT&T or Brightspeed?
No AT&T or Brightspeed. I even followed up and still no response.
I don't believe AT&T exists in here and Brightspeed, they've been going.
They're in the front. Do we need correspondence from them stating that?
It would be nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the Brightspeed question, like they're just installing stuff, everything's from the house
Right.
currently. So there's nothing going through the backyard.
I understand. I know they did acquire, well, no, that was a different company, but we're just gonna ask for something stating that just to cover everybody's bases. Is the 15 by 30, what dimension is that? Is that to the like the concrete ribbon on the outside of the pool? Is that?
So the 15 by 30, I believe, is I guess, like the total size of the area that they're planning on, I guess, with their area that goes around the pool. I don't know like the exact like water measurements, but I know that they had talked about the movement to the portion, I guess, that they're asking on the easement or whatnot was the furthest point. So we have distance between the house and whatnot if we needed to move it closer to the house.
Can you come to the podium so that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Carrie.
Yeah, I didn't.
Come on.
That way people that are on.
Can you give us your name and address, please? Sorry.
It's all right.
I live at 901 Maple Street. I'm the homeowner. So the plans that they had brought out originally were as furthest away from the house, like closest to the proximity of the fence to kind of give us area between the house and the pool itself. So, I mean, if there's obviously anything that needs to be altered as far as easement wise to bring it closer to the house or anything, is obviously, something that it would make amends to make it work. The 15 by 30 is just kind of I guess the ballpark of the size of the pool. It's just kind of like standard. Our next door neighbor to the south of us has a pool, and there's a few other in the neighborhood as well. So like the trees that were mentioned have been removed. The koi pond that is shown on there right now is currently a fiberglass one, so I mean, that's pretty much a non-issue. And then as far as the utilities that I know of, that, I mean, we've lived there now for going on 3 years, and we've had a mark before to where any electrical or anything like that runs to the north of the house. There is no AT&T that's there. Brightspeed's in the front. The one gas line is like on the picture here. I think it's the black and white might be the fence line. I don't necessarily know what that is. But the gas line runs primarily right next to the inside of our fence and then makes that slight curve. But everything that they came out and showed with spray paint was, I guess, whatever they were asking for originally on the pool, like as far as the pool.
Okay. Do you have an issue with the going from 7 to 10?
I mean, I don't. I mean, it would just take, a little bit of, I guess, patio space, but I mean, I've also been in talks with Black Hills to where if there was an issue with moving the gas line, they've even told us that if we wanted to dig the trench or have the pool company expose the line and dig a new trench to allow us the proximity and whatever. I mean, they wouldn't pay for it, obviously, but we would. And they said that was also an option if we needed to do that as well.
The other, about the 10-foot, is that what we've been doing with our revisions to the other zoning codes is that for accessory structures, we have a special setback for pools of keeping that 10-foot. So I'd like to ask that we be consistent in doing that. And then also, I just want to make it clear to the commission that this will be ultimately a council decision. So what you'll be doing is making a recommendation to the council.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Looks like there's some recommendations from staff here about the 10 feet. So we're gonna do a vacation plat, is that correct, Maureen?
Yes, a vacation plat will be a requirement.
And looks like there's some comments in here about a fence.
I just need to point out that depending on the location of the fence, if it's sitting on the property line, the maximum height can only be 5 feet.
Well, it's not gonna be sitting on the property line.
For swimming pools, there's a requirement for safety fencing, and this is the requirement.
Okay.
So wherever they put that, that's whether it's on the property line or around the pool, whatever they.
Gotcha.
They just need to comply with
We've
this.
talked to another fencing company and I guess they've built some fences around it. So they're kind of told us what the standard of what we'd expect for height and locks and everything else. So, I mean, we would obviously follow all that.
Gotcha. Yeah, their standard and our standard just need to meet, but just want to make sure you're tracking the fence. Other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward. Looks like we would ask for AT&T and Brightspeed, just some correspondence from them saying that they don't have any objections. Anybody else have any questions?
So I just want to be clear that getting us to the 10 feet is just a 3 foot in the pool of the house. And you're comfortable with that?
Yeah. If that's what we needed to do, then yeah.
That's really the big issue here.
That would include any decking around the pool. That would include any decking around the pool.
Yeah.
That's the whole structure pool.
Yeah, concrete. That.
Okay. If there aren't any questions, I'd entertain a motion for this one.
Recommendation of 10 feet.
Yes, 10 feet and
And then corrections on the plat.
yes, outstanding plat comments and correspondence from the two outstanding utility.
Greg, I'm the motion to recommend to council vacation 23-05 at 10 feet. With the comments that were just mentioned.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. That'll be, when's the next council meeting?
December 12th.
That'll
Next
be on the
Tuesday.
December 12th council meeting. Good luck. Enjoy your pool. All right, item B, new business for this agenda, we have subdivision 2303. Featherston Village West, preliminary plat and phasing plan. Looks like we have the plans and an adjacent street agreement. Jake, I saw Jake, he beat me to the podium. How's it going, man?
It's going. My name is Jake Chavis with Bates and Associates. We're just kind of bringing this back to you guys. We got some new clients on this one. And they wanted to make just a few modifications. We found in doing those modifications, we found some areas where we can improve our designs to help save them a little bit of money. The first of which is, as you notice, we have 2 detention ponds now instead of 1, which is what you all originally approved. We were able to gain some lots on that western pond, but we lost a bunch of lots by creating that new eastern pond. Totally, we're down 3 lots from what you guys approved originally. The second change is the one you guys approved originally was not phased. This one was split up into 3 phases.
So you want to construct all at once?
This will be in phases. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so it'll be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So it'll be 3 separate function plats that you'll see. Like that. Yep, that's our phasing plan. Phase 1 is up near Kimball, phase 2 is in the middle, and phase 3 is towards the south. And all the detention and everything will be part of phase 1. The utilities will be phased separately, but we've been working with Center for Utilities to make sure that there's enough loops and the water line connection to make sure that everything makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I see your 2. I was looking for your 2 exits. Any other changes? What did that street agreement street agreement is all that on the front end?
Yeah, we're still kind of working through with staff on exactly what we need to put in there. Yeah.
But it'll be
The more that you look at a set of plans, the more things that you say, oh, wait a minute, I probably could have done better on that. So yeah, it's just actually, we got off the phone right before this meeting talking about just a few changes we needed to make to that.
But all of the offsite streets will be whatever we agree to.
Yeah, whatever we agreed to
Phase
the
1.
first time, yeah, you guys are all getting your improvements, just like we agreed to the first time.
Awesome. Well, I will let Kayla. Thanks.
Okay, so as he said, you guys have seen this before, but it's been updated a little bit to include a new detention pond. They did lose 3 lots. This does have an improved PUD with it, so there were still some requirements that they had to meet. Malcolm has some outstanding comments about backfills on lots. I think he just got me those comments probably this afternoon, so Jake hasn't seen them and I haven't seen them yet, but Malcolm was okay with them coming to PC for approval. And then there are some comments we'll get into about the streets. And then further inside of the plat for the subdivision itself, there's just some minor comments to be addressed. I have the PUD requirements listed. A lot didn't change inside the subdivision, so it's basically the same thing. One thing I did want to note for the open space is last time you guys saw this plan, they were presented 23% open space. But it wasn't exactly represented correctly. Their green space included along the street, so 23% was actually like 16%. And now they're with the pond, the new pond, they're at 18%, so they're still meeting their PUD requirement. It's just not quite as much as originally shown. The parking didn't change. Utility services didn't change, except for now it's being phased. And they have some remaining comments for the backfill. Floodplain didn't change. For phasing, they have 3 phases. I think phase one was 102 lots. Phase two was 95, and then phase three was 105, which is 297. Daisy and Womack are gonna be built in phases. And then Kimmel will be all built out with phase one, so Daisy is. If you'll go to the last page of these, I think there's in it.
So it is phased?
This one is phased.
Yeah, this one's fully
Let me
phased.
find it. There it is. I'm gonna get it where you can read.
And Womack's already built. So it'll be improvements on,
It's just the trail that they're adding on.
and then, yeah, Daisy.
So Daisy, they've got it outlined right there what they're doing in terms of how much road is being built with each. And then on the first page is the Daisy section. For Womack, the road was already built out with Featherston original, so they're just adding a 10-foot trail on Featherston West side. The majority of it's gonna be put in with phase one, and then the rest of it will be put in with phase three. And then Kimmel is our big dog, so. Blossom Hill is across the street, and they actually, when Blossom Hill was built out, they gave us $87,000 of fee in lieu. That wasn't originally considered when the Kimmel Road got developed or designed. And also, can you go to the Kimmel Road and zoom in? Yeah. It's not the best page, but it's okay. The widening of Kimmel Road is shown on this plan as being on Featherston side, but there's actually room on Blossom Hill side to do that widening. If we do it how it's shown on the plans right now, there won't be room for our 12-foot trail. So Kimmel Road needs to be redesigned a little bit. And if you go towards the east at the intersection of Womack and Kimmel, we have another development coming in soon, hopefully. So Kimmel Road needs to be redesigned so that Featherston isn't paying for all of the improvements on that development side. They'll come in and do their curb and gutter when they come in and do their project. So Featherston West shouldn't have to do on the north side of Kimmel from the intersection to Blossom Hill. That's somebody else's.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask that side to get widened just a little bit?
But the road is going to be 38 feet at the end, 38 feet back of curve. So we've got to do the transition from existing on Womack Road. And then to the west, we're gonna get it back on center line. So instead of them doing another lane on their side, it really should be on the other side. That's where they gave the fee in lieu
Mhm.
for those improvements. So we're realigning that road back on center line, and then it should be good going to Main Street. And also that will tie in with our other development that we have to the east. Otherwise, this road's gonna be going to the south, then shifting to the north, and
Right.
it's still, it,
So what Jake's proposing is as if that north side were already in place, just what they needed to build with the 12-foot trail. is
that's
that-
what he's gonna change it.
Yeah, so we, as currently presented, and this is the conversation we were having right before we came, as currently presented. And this is the same way it was presented at last planning commission, we're showing more improvements than what is necessary. So with, luckily, you've got such a great staff, we're able to work out to where we don't have to improve quite as much. And we kind of.
Essentially-
That responsibility.
Essentially, it's just the half of what will be there in the future, right?
Yeah.
So they'll do their curb and gutter along all of their side of Kimmel.
Mhm.
And then they'll do widening on from Blossom Hill to Daisy.
We'll have to work
Widen it.
with them on the update and we'll have that fee in lieu from before that we can give to them to account for that work.
Yeah.
So
Or y'all, that work's gonna be done with this project?
Right.
yeah, we'll utilize that fee in lieu
That's
for
awesome.
part of this design. That's how, when we take it, it's supposed to go through.
Yeah.
Fully
That's how it should work.
built section.
Cool.
Yes, we're trying to get where it
We're working
works
on
like
it.
it's.
A few other,
Happy to design it for you if you need us to.
so there are a few little other updates on Daisy Road. Right now, the plan shows that the sidewalk is 2 foot from the right of way. We're gonna have them shift the sidewalk towards the road about 6 feet so that there's room for street trees between the sidewalk and the right of way. For the the property line of Featherston. And then just a few other clarifying, they'll do fencing around the east pond. They don't have to do it around the west pond because it has a bench. Right now they're proposing trees in their landscape buffer as part of their PUD. But Carroll Electric is showing overhead electric in that same easement. So they'll have to get their trees approved by Carroll Electric.
That there on Daisy?
Yes, it's on Daisy. It's just to the east of the sidewalk.
It's like right,
Buffer is.
Oh, on the lots. I got-
yeah.
There's- So the first 10,
This one. All right, line of green. There we go.
The green is the landscape buffer.
there's an overhead power line that's also running through that utility easement. The green space is 10 feet of a 20-foot utility easement. And so now Carroll Electric has come back and they put a power line through that green space.
Can we not just shift the trees out to the right of way?
That's what we talked about.
We talked about it. But at this time, what we asked is if they can work out with Carroll in that green space, go ahead and plant whatever trees that they will allow in there. That, because if it's a 3-phase, we think it's fairly tall, so we ought to be able to get some type of lower trees in there. And then later the city can come back and
Those are gonna be on the lot, correct? On the actual lot.
Behind any kind of fence.
What? Fence is gonna
Behind any perimeter fence.
it makes, and that's what they're doing around the
The
whole
whole thing.
perimeter anyway.
When you say behind, you mean the fences, if I'm standing on the back porch, the fence, I'm gonna see the fence first and then
So
the.
you'll see the tree and the
Right.
fence. So if you're on the road,
You'll
won't
see the
tree,
fence.
See the whole fence and the tree above.
But it's that in that green space that was part of this PUD
Mhm.
in that buffer. And then we will
What-
come back with the street trees
Yeah.
later.
I'm just thinking long-term, that's technically somebody's tree in their backyard and they can just get rid of all of it.
Well, that is actually a landscape easement.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
dedicated as a landscape.
Okay.
Covered it. There will,
Alright.
we don't have confirmation if there will be a perimeter fence around the whole thing. We imagine there will because Featherston Original does, but for sure there will be a fence on the south property line because that was required with the PUD for screening.
Okay. Can we look at, or Jake, can you talk us through the phasing of the road? Cause from what we just said, I thought it was all gonna be done with this.
Yeah, so any widening, any improvements to Kimmel will be done with phase one. The improvements have already been done to Womack, with the original Featherston.
Okay.
And then on Daisy, it'll essentially just be a third of Daisy with phase one, a third of Daisy
All
with
of
phase
the
two.
phase lines? Can we go back to that?
It'll go from Kimmel to the north entrance with phase one. From the north entrance to the south entrance with phase two. And then from the south entrance to the south property line with phase three. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they pave from the north entrance to the south property line with phase two, but it gives them leaving.
Is there a performance bond associated with that? There's not?
No, we have before required that.
No, they wouldn't be able to build any houses, though, I mean, with the phases that go from there, so you wouldn't be able to final. Flat unless.
No,
you
I
build
understand.
roads.
I understand, but if something were to happen,
You guys don't usually require performance bonds for, I know,
We have before, yes.
sounds like Jacob was already getting them written up.
yeah. Typically the way every city is. I know we've got to have them for Malcolm.
You're talking about phase two and phase three get on with phase one?
Yeah,
Correct.
that's normally how it works.
We've done.
Normally, it's a all public improvement performance bond. The whole project. And originally on the first approval before we phased it, well, everything was together because it was one phase.
Mhm.
Is it too much to keep up with if we ask for a performance bond for Daisy?
I don't believe so. We've done it before. I don't-
Everybody. Brandon, this is probably the first time you heard performance bond, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be what percentage do you ask for?
Whatever the 50% of that cost of that well.
Performance
uh,
bond
or
would be
bond
five.
would be the
105?
Yeah.
So performance bond.
Yeah, typically performance bond is around 100%, or and then the maintenance bond is 25.
25, yeah. So essentially, Brandon, they would provide a bond to the city with the first phase that it would cover the Daisy improvements, the street improvements for phase 2 and 3. If something were to happen, we would have it.
Yeah. That wasn't in place before because it was just all one phase and now we're.
And all right of way will be dedicated with.
Right, so we'd have the right. of way.
Yes.
Okay, what else we got?
That was the nitty gritty of it.
Okay. Did you say there was still some outstanding comments on there?
There's some minor ones from us, and then Malcolm has some comments about backfill.
Jake, what else?
That's it. I promise if you guys approve this tonight, I won't bring it back.
How many times we've heard that?
We try our darndest.
Okay, well.
Yeah, we would
Just-
ask that anything gets approved contingent on working out Kilmore Road and. I promise.
This is more curiosity than anything. On that phasing, at the bottom of 2. On the left-hand side, there's that little jut down, not on the road, but on the interior road. No, further up.
Oh, this,
That little V right there.
Water line.
Intentional?
No, that's a piece of sewer.
Okay, okay.
somebody sneaked there.
So likely the road's not gonna get built like that, it's just the.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that sounds weird.
But you're going to plat it like that? Or is that gonna be shown as offsite?
That'll be shown as offsite on the phase 2 final plat.
Okay.
It does kind of look like somebody sneezed when they were drawing.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's close enough. Keep going.
Well, it's a give and take. If you don't show it that way, then the utility guys are going, well, what are you building? And then Craig asked the question if you do show it. No, good eye. All right, if nobody has any other discussion, I would entertain a motion on this.
It's, the performance bond is not. Here.
Yeah,
The performance bond would come with the final of phase 1.
normally get those up front.
They usually come with when they do a final.
That's what we have done actually at the end of phase 1, when they're doing the maintenance bonds. Then typically that's when we'll get performance bonds for the other phases.
That's okay.
I know, I know that that's something that we've kind of looked at, is getting those performance bonds. And it's kind of in the code now on talking about making sure that there's a guarantee that the developer is going to own performance bonds for the whole subdivision.
On the front end,
So,
that's the only way I've seen them. Okay.
Mr. Craig, I'll make a motion to approve subdivision 23-03. Second rendition of Featherston Village West preliminary plat and phasing with outstanding comments. And the 100% performance bond for the Daisy Road improvements.
And the adjacent street agreement.
And the adjacent street agreement. Thank you.
Tony, I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Anyone disagree? No? All right. Good work, Jake.
You got it for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to other business. Number 7A is the Centerton Land Use Plan. This will be public comment regarding property outside the city limits on Bethlehem Road, designated for industrial use. It looks like we have Danny and Cindy Norton to come talk to us about that. So, yeah.
Hello. My name is Danny Norton and I'm Cindy. And I live at 14570 Bethlehem Road in Gravit. Residents of Bethlehem Road want to voice their concerns with the Centerton future zoning map of showing our area as industrial, which on the map, this is it too, it's all purple. And some background on the reason we found out this out is during the Benton County Planning Board meeting on 11/15 on the Johnston site meeting held on 11/15/23 on the Johnston site, the company SMT Energy out of Boulder, Colorado had proposed a 200 megawatt lithium battery faculty in the middle of our residential neighborhood. It would have like 70 containers. It would have heating and cooling systems on them and transformers that would run 24/7. The residents made a very good case about all the different the possible explosions and the noise that they would create, and it wasn't really compatible for a residential area. During the meeting, one of the biggest things that brought up, there's several things, but one of the biggest ones was that the Centerton map showed, when they picked it up, they said it shows us the industrial future growth. Industrial. And
They wanted clarification from you guys, exactly what you were gonna do with this property and that area. And if it is industrial, I think that it would heavily influence their decision on what to do there.
also, during the meeting, they did table this thing because it was SMT Energy that had the meeting and that they had a lot of lack of information. I don't know, I know your Mayor Beal, he was there, and Diana, she was really, really nice. I talked to her several times, and I'm not very good at speaking, I know to that, but still it's important enough that I want to make sure that we stand up for ourselves because that's all we got. We only live 30 feet from this thing. Yeah, so I mean, we're really close. So anyway, one of the things that they stopped, I mean, they tabled it for is the fire department. They didn't get with them, or they didn't give them the information about it. And their plans and stuff, that all their schematics were wrong. And, you know, this is going to be right beside us, but there needs to be somebody who knows what they're doing. And then the other one, it was, you know, about the zoning map. They said that they really wanted to get that clarified before they made any decision where they wouldn't have to go back, you know, and try to refigure out what's going on. So we want to make sure that, but for us, it kind of where it is about, we don't want to be future industrial because we have, I mean, there's people building like right now, building brand new houses right there beside us. And it would definitely affect everybody. And I know there's a dirt pit on the other side, but it's the Jones pit. I know they're supposed to not be out there too much longer to have it done. Well, we sure don't want to be industrial in our area because, like I say, we want it to grow. In industrial, you're going to start dropping your land value, and they're building in new, like even they got several new things that they're putting in, like the blackberry. They got blueberry. I'm sorry, blueberry and a flower shop right down from
down the road.
And
brand new house right down the road. There's a lot of houses going in. It's fairly getting populated in that area.
Yeah. And we got several churches, and they got this. It's called the New Beginnings for the Joneses. They got it over there for, and it's just there's a bunch of people and the houses there that I just don't see how it could be an industrial site.
And we were wanting to see if we could get that changed. Maybe even before that 20th meeting, or have you guys get back with the county board and let them know what your future plan for that really is.
So as you can see, I don't think that even goes down to the subject property then, does it?
It's like right
there. Okay. So currently that's a county
Yes.
parcel.
County.
It's not in the city of Centerton.
Right,
And so this map we worked on for multiple years, had, you know, a bunch of public hearings, public outreach. And this map is used as a guide for us when people come in and want to rezone their properties. I didn't research exactly why this area was industrial, probably because of, you know, there's you said that.
it's over on one side.
Jones Dirt.
It's over on the far side.
Yeah.
And we're hearing that's about finished.
So all this was adopted by council. So this isn't something we can just willy-nilly say, oh, no, we want to do
No,
this.
change it.
But it is used as a guide. It's not ever 100% set in stone because things change, right?
Right.
Cities evolve.
If you could look to the left, you can see my house is the one to the left right there, so.
Okay.
You know, I came from North Bentonville, everyone's coming out this way to buy a piece of property.
Sir, can you come up and give us your name and address?
You want to sit down?
Yeah. So, yeah, my name's Tim Whitaker. I'm at 14860 Bethlehem. So we moved out there. We bought the land a few years ago and moved out. You don't see it on the picture, but there was 30 acres. And so they split it up to 3 homes. So you've got Zuriel Stables down there. You've got, you know, the children's shelter to the south. You got polo fields to the northwest. And across the polo fields, they're building multi-million-dollar homes and dirt roads right there, right? So that, and then down the corner of 102, you've got that massive neighborhood they're building, which is going to be in the line of fire of this thing, which is a whole different topic. So without getting into the best systems, I've worked with the company and the EPA lawyers at Walmart and some other people about it. The reality is, other than the dirt pit and that strip mine on the road where they're doing gravel, there's no industrial out there. It's all residential and everyone's coming this way. And those neighborhoods are coming, as you well know, down Fish Hatchery all the way out through to Bethlehem and all the way around the corner. So my perspective on it is, I mean, yeah, there's a dirt pit, but I've been talking to some investors about potentially returning that to a non-industrial site once Jimmy, because his son passed away not too long ago, and get some investors. So other than the gravel pit down the road, which we generally live in harmony with, it's all residential. And as you guys know, Centerton's the fastest growing, you know, thing in the state. You're pretty saturated to the east, the north, and the south. So everybody is going west. So to make this industrial, to me, this doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Without getting into the battery farm things, I know a lot about that, but that's just my perspective on it. And we went out there to build what we thought was our forever home. But and unfortunately, the county is, you know, they weren't super pleased with what was going on last time with the company doing this. But the one gentleman on the board is saying, but they've got this listed as industrial. So regardless if we agree or not, we have to at least take that into consideration what Centerton's looking at. And the reality is, if you look at the property, we all own it. I mean, you're gonna have to get us all to sell. Well, there's a lot of money tied up out there. So, you know, maybe it will, if they start building industrial, I'm sure people will start getting out of there. But given the growth of Centerton and what's going on down 102, to me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know what industrial would be there beyond, you know, a couple of these things. So that's just my opinion. So I appreciate your time. Yeah, so if you have any questions,
Thank you.
I guess my question is, what is the process? You says council, like where would we even go from?
This would be a map amendment if it were to be changed, and I'm not sure we've,
Land use.
or land use amendment.
It would go through public hearings.
Yeah.
So it's not something that could be done by the 20th. I mean,
Oh, no, I get that.
but because it would take, it typically takes, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but if you did it, I mean, could you, like, so the whole purple section there, could you, you know, would they just leave the gravel pit purple and put everything else green around it or whatever? Or is it pretty much like an all or none kind of thing? Or how does that work? I'm not familiar with the process.
It's basically whatever, you know, we think
Like just paint
how it grows. And I know we've lost some industrial area down to the south by the airport. And then that was kind of a hot topic too. And again, it's not just us, it's the council's heavily involved as well.
Yeah.
But so is this within a mile of our?
Yes, it's within our plan. It was like right at the edge of our planning area.
Got it.
Pretty much where
So
the
they can-
this is where it ends.
Like an annex in?
Well, they'd have to
Not currently.
contiguous annex.
That's
That'd
what
be
I
a
was
lot.
asking, because they said it's right on the border, so I was like.
Well, the city limits
Yeah.
ends pretty much here at 102. And they're over here.
Oh, okay,
Planning.
Under our planning area.
Planning boundary.
It's gotta be touching.
The other reason that this was looked at for industrial was for making that connection from I-49 to the airport. So this was, which the highway department. I mean, they've given us kind of 3 different
Right.
scenarios. It's not known. But because of the dirt pit and then there's the rock quarry and the substation, that's where we felt that that was our best option for it.
So I've seen actually go down east down 102. And I think the two options were actually east of.
They did have that option, and I think that one got nixed pretty.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where they are now with it, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're all still up in the air on those.
Yeah.
Do more than a 2 lane, so. Oh, let's see, elevate.
Diane, you were there?
Yes, at the meeting, yes.
Okay. So they said, or from the citizens tonight, they seem to have said that the county was wanting input from us.
You want clarification?
Yes, they want a clarification because, I mean, when we provided them our comments, we did say that on our future land use plan, this area is commercial. But as for industrial, sorry, the brain went left field there. But as what's currently out there, I mean, again, it's not zoned, it's in the county. But a battery storage facility, we said it isn't compatible with what's currently there. So even though it is in our land use plan, industrial in the future, currently what's there, it's not compatible with homes that close to it.
There's a whole ton of issues with the battery thing, not to go into, but even if the battery thing gets voted down on the 20th, I still think this is probably something we want to address with all those, because we went from last night in the petition, we have 70 or 80 people, now we're at 150, it's growing daily. We didn't bring it here tonight because it's really not your issue with the battery thing, but so I mean, I think all the neighbors and the residents are on board with it. It's just a matter of how do we get that process started.
I do want to say, I feel like it really is a concern for our city because this could easily be within our city limits someday.
Well, I can tell you about it if you
With,
spend a lot of time with experts on it, so
I mean.
it's on the news every day.
On a much smaller scale, when we incorporated the solid waste disposal, I mean, that, we had that as low density and.
That's all.
And then we had to work on how are we going to incorporate industrial into this area. So this is kind of one of those same things again. And I would also like to express that I think the city's very concerned about the safety issues.
Sure. And I talked to Baker
developed.
down in Texas, who are the world premier people. They spent 2 hours with me. Also, Mike Stevenson at Walmart, who's a 25-year EPA lawyer. And the consensus is it's an interesting technology. You see them on the news burning every day. When they burn, you can't put them out. You had 2 firefighters in Arizona thrown 75 feet from one that was just smoldering. They walked up to it and got severe brain trauma from the thing. So it's special gear, special people. And so I think the consensus on this was like, even if we want a best facility, this is not the group to do it because it's a 9-person group out of Colorado. It subcontracts everything through a company in North Carolina. They buy the batteries and actually they're partners with a company called Covenant up in New York, who just had one catch on fire. And Covenant issued a statement that said, listen, we paid subcontractors to put it in, the battery companies. We're just someone who's going to watch this thing. It's their responsibility, not ours. This is an investor group. It's not an energy company. That's why it's not built on SWEPCO land and the power line. So the board called that one out as well. So, yeah. So if you guys want information
About that, what kind of relationship they.
so I've got a website that's not quite done, but it's close and I'm trying to walk a line so I don't get sued for anything, but nobess.org. It's nobess.org. Still ugly right now, but I'm finishing it up, but it has all that in there. The red flags, who's SMT, the dangers of the system based on the experts. If it catches on fire, they'll usually evacuate about 1 to 2 miles. So that corner neighborhood they're building on 102 would be evacuated. The wind, my luxury is I'm on the west side. The wind blows northeast. So these guys are going to get most of it in the neighborhoods. But you'll evacuate for days. They can't put it out. So and the thing is, the ones that have caught on fire are 10, 20 megawatts, 2 or 3 containers. These guys, the biggest they have is a 10 megawatt. They're wanting to build a 200 plus megawatt out there. It's 144 containers, 150,000 batteries a container. So when it goes up, we'll be on the national news. Let's put it that way. So anyway, I appreciate your time.
And
No problem.
these batteries are like a semi-trailer. They look like they might be small and, I'm thinking more like a pod.
Yeah,
They're much bigger.
they're like the size of a shipping container. Each set of these.
So
As
for
long as they get hot.
clarity. This isn't in the city limits
Right.
right now. This is in our planning jurisdiction. When they submitted to the county, that would come through our process, but they would not have to be rezoned.
No, they do not have zoning in the county.
We just do a courtesy.
A courtesy review.
Right.
We make recommendations to them, express our concerns.
Well, we pay the fire department for fire out there, so, I mean, if it catches on fire, you guys are the ones coming, so that's what I want.
Sure, I didn't mean it that way. I just wanted.
Oh, no, I'm just letting you know, yeah. So, yeah,
Right.
it's, yeah, anyway.
You know, I think in my opinion, I think the bigger concern, I mean, personally, I agree that I don't think that it fits the surrounding uses. But I think the bigger picture is the industrial is the question at hand. But again, that's not gonna resolve anything in their timeline. And I know we have been, what's our status on the land use? I know we were talking about making some edits.
We're gonna have to just start with our meetings and hopefully this next year,
Yeah.
we'll get working on those and the development. I'll work on land use, the master street plan and the development. And then we'll get to the zoning. If we can get those three.
I'm assuming the landscape's in with the development code.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes.
What?
There's addition.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. Come up.
Hey, my name is Herbert Morales, 14475 Bethlehem Road. I live across the street, a little east from that facility. I've been there for 5 years now in November. And you are living there. I think a lot of my neighbors, we get along very well. But I was looking the map today, you know, it was surprised with me when I split the lots and I'm building a big house now, a new house. So I was surprised I had to come to the planning commission of Centerton. I was believed, I'm in the county, I don't need it, but I understand what it is. But when I looked the map today for the industrial planning, got a couple of questions. And I understand there were several meetings before, but when that map was reviewed last time, would be my first question.
Was it approved the 2020 or 21? So just a couple.
2020.
Yeah.
October 2020. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, if you go back to the map, please, where they show the purple.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Hit share.
It's just kind of delayed.
Okay, there we
Well,
go.
I'm pretty sure that purple part would you can mark it as a potential industrial. If we go look from 2020 to today and look the building permit, it's a lot of houses. It's a lot of houses, a lot of split land. So I split my 10 acres in 4 parcels now. I got 2 houses. One is under construction. The other one is the house that I really live. So my family, my daughter is moving to my old house. I'm gonna be moving to the new house pretty soon. I'll get in January. But I saw homes in this area, in this area here, I mean, south and north where I am, or Bethlehem Road. I believe this map has been changes in the last 2 years. And I believe if we review just the building constructions that the county has been doing, or you guys have been approving, because you have to be involved in that. We're gonna see that the tendency there is no industrial. Even I got a conversation with one of my neighbors this morning, that he cannot be here because he's working. And you know, his kids, they love to raise chickens and goats and stuff that they very active in the county fair shows. I said, what's gonna happen with this industrial? Probably I'm gonna be losing my possibility to doing this. I did something very unique for me during the COVID. You know, I grew up in a big city all my time. It's the first time in my life that I lived there. So I bought cows. I got 13 cows now. So they're my pets. You know, and I just want to see what is the process that we can move this purple map somewhere else. Thank you so much.
the other problem I see, and I don't know if this is the conversation for tonight, but. If that gets modified, there's essentially no
No industrial.
industrial,
This was the only other area down here.
right?
Most all of that is residential.
It's something that we would have to look at.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Bonnie Wilson. I live at 14498 Bethlehem Road. My home is on 5 acres in that purple section. And I just found out a few days ago that that was your plan for the future. I just want to mention something. Those of us who live in counties live there for a reason. We lived in Rogers for 35 years. I don't want to sound like a complainer because I don't like complaining. But if you live within a city, the city controls everything. We wanted to build a workshop in our backyard. So we had to go through that process, get a permit, do this, do that. And so my husband said, someday I'm going to build a house with everything so I'm not dependent on hardly anybody, you know. Be yourself, be a pioneer, get out there, the thing. And so when we went looking for land, we made sure we were out of anybody's city limits. And that's why we chose to live where my husband and I built our house with our own hands. We put everything in it that new technology would allow, so we could be more self-sufficient, more independent. I don't even like the thought, and I know I won't be able to stop it, but I don't even like the thought that someday Centerton will want to suck me into their city limits. And I know I won't be able to stop it. But I certainly don't want industry where my house is. You know, and I'm just trying to speak as an American, that you just want to have some land to live on so people aren't bothering you. And my neighbor here, I've been there 20 years next year. A lot has built up, but it's farming. And if he wants to have his cattle across the road, let him have his cattle. And if I want to get a llama on my 5 acres, please let me have my llama. All I'm trying to say is don't strangle us if you make us part of the city. Let us have that independence, because that's why we built where we built, so we could have some independence. But please change it and don't let it be industrial. If you do make us a part of your city. And I'm sorry, I don't want to be a complainer.
I think we all understand what you're saying. And ma'am, just to be clear right now, nobody's, I don't even believe the applicant for that proposed development was asking to be annexed into the city. So nobody right now is within the city limits. You still have probably a mile,
Oh, yeah.
you know, until you get to the city limits.
Are you sure there's a fire station right there?
I have a fire station less than a half a mile from my house.
It is in the county.
It's a county fire station.
We have yes, we have a fire station there. We also have a county response area. I've been heavily involved with this project for the past couple of weeks. I've already had several meetings, regionally. I'm not the only, I'm sorry.
There's people on Zoom.
Okay.
Can you?
Here.
Sorry, or this one.
No, you're good.
This one. Okay.
Pick a spot.
We've been in several meetings. I'm not the only fire department that's looking at this. There's the one going in Silent Springs. Bentonville has been in on these. Thursday afternoon, I have a meeting with the county fire marshal and the Silent Springs fire marshal to go over this. We're kind of looking at it, both projects at the same time, due to the fact that they're in the county. So technically it's not my fire marshal district, but however, it's our fire district. So the county marshal, he's like, I'm one guy. Let's bring everybody together and let's look at this together. A lot of the research that we've done and we've looked at, if they are built correctly, and that's a strong if, they can be built safe if they're done correctly. And that's what we're trying to do, is to make sure, okay, it gets approved. We want to make sure that they do everything by the book, no matter like it's any other business.
The one caveat I would give you though is manufacturing, because I've been manufacturing my whole life at Walmart, okay?
That's what I'm saying.
It's just manufacturing is fault in the battery. It's not gonna be the third party, it's gonna be the manufacturer. And the one in 2 million failure rate, so it's not a lot. You have 150,000 batteries per container, 144 containers, probably gonna catch on fire at some point. And also, all these things are 2 years or younger. And I can give you, they had 3 fires in New York this summer alone. The governor had to step in.
Okay.
So in the battery company, he's also talking to the risk company. They are not sharing data for a reason. You look at it on the news. So my only point is, and I'll give you a second point to this too. The company that's doing this, I've met with them, we talked to them, and if you came to that planning meeting, they'd be on a PIP if they worked at Walmart because it was that bad. So even if I wanted it best, this would not be the company I would choose.
Unfortunately,
you have to follow the rules, but yeah.
Unfortunately, what I can tell you is we are going to do above and beyond our due diligence. I may not be able to stop it. It doesn't matter whether I agree with it or not. I just take the binding of the code and the strong arm of the code to try to hold them accountable. I can tell you there are policies and procedures in place. They're already setting up. If this goes through according to their safety protocols, we will have meetings with our department, our fire department, and their safety personnel to make sure everything is done correctly. What's expected of us, what's expected of them. So we will make sure that we do everything and do our due diligence. I want to give you guys peace of mind that, I mean, you moved out here 20
They
years
said
ago.
at the meeting that it would take 1 hour for the fire technician, the guy that really knows what to do. It would take him an hour to get there. You guys will be there long
Listen,
for them.
Tesla's had fires, LG's had fires, PG&E, FPL, Con Ed, big companies have had fires. They can't do anything about it. Even Tesla. Tesla knows a lot about batteries. These guys, they're 9 people. They got like 40 projects going on. If they're gonna spend time with you on a regular basis, I would be shocked. It's gonna be a third party.
I can't control any of that. All I can do is control me and I can tell you what our department's gonna do.
But you can have an opinion.
I do, and I've voiced it very regularly, just not in this forum.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
all I ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Whenever we do our plans review, whenever we go through this and whenever we've sat and we've looked at this, I can't tell you how many hours I have spent. Chief specifically asked me to do a deep dive on this to make sure. Yes, this is the county fire marshal's jurisdiction. However, I'm gonna be extremely heavy handed in it, and I already have that. Like I said, I've got a meeting Thursday afternoon.
One thing I want to bring up is, I know I talked to James, he was from Mexican TV, and when
Come up here, so everybody can hear.
Thank you.
I talked to James, he come to my house and I was showing him how close we are, we're 30 foot from the property line. And he was telling me that, well, one good thing that they're in these batteries a lot better, that they're gonna have these flaps that come open to not explode, because when they go bad, they go really bad. You know, they just go from one to the other. It's called a thermal runaway. And I know you know about them, but I mean, it's just a dangerous thing, and they're very hard to put out. Even the cars that get on fire, they spray them. It's better just back off and let it burn. You know, the car will burn in 45 minutes, or you can do it for 48 hours. You try to water it down, it just cools it, you stop, it burns again. They put cement on it. When they got the cement out, it started again. I mean, it's a dangerous thing. And it's one of those things they told me, well, don't worry, we got these flaps that's gonna come open, and so it's not gonna blow up. If the flaps come open, what's coming out of there? And of course, it's gonna be all these toxic fumes. I live 30 foot from the property. He said, well, what we do is maybe a shelter in place. I'm not sheltered in place. If that simply coming out, I'm getting the heck out of it. You know, I mean, I'm not saying just for our sale. I'm saying for any place they build one of these things, they need to regulate it. They need to say, you need to have, matter of fact, there's one, Jefferson City, Jefferson County, Tennessee, they said they were gonna put a brand new, it was the council. They said as of this one, they want to, they actually turned it down. But they said as of now, it's, any of these things need to be at least 5 miles from a school, from churches and stuff. We got one a quarter mile, our schools are like 2.6. We've got matter of fact, I've got a whole thing I'll put on there that just shows all the stuff. We got but nobody wants to walk by one, but it seems like if you're not very far away or it's somebody else, well, it don't matter. It does matter when you live there. I don't like to speak, but I got to because we don't want to buy our house.
Sure.
Because
Can I ask a question of everybody? We need to keep this
Yes.
specific to the land use and not the proposed project because we have no authority on the proposed project. I completely understand your concerns.
Well, see, the reason we brought it up though, I think all of us, one of the big things is because we was really afraid that if it did get industrial, that companies like this would just come in. Because I've watched several of them about this. And they was all upset, like in New York and stuff. They said that once they made it industrial, those people didn't have to ask the people. They just moved in. We don't want that.
So each property has to be rezoned independently as a request. If this were in the city, we would have more say or a say at all. And there's a lot of items that we look at during rezoning. One of them that's, of particular interest to this, does the proposed use fit the surrounding area? And we would answer that on that rezoning request. But since they're not in the city, we don't get that opportunity and they're gonna stay in the county. And I don't think the county has any zoning, right?
They don't have zoning.
Just something to add on the uses, our schedule of uses does not have any category that even.
You would have to come in
Yeah.
as conditional use.
We didn't.
There's all kinds of stipulations.
Yeah, so what she's saying is, in the city, even if this was zoned industrial, that use within industrial, any of our industrial zonings is not listed. So they would have to go through another process to even be able to use that property in that way. But again, since they're not, unfortunately, we don't have a lot. Do what?
If it was, what would you do?
I think I need to see all the facts.
There's a lot more
There's a
facts.
lot to, you can ask, let what we say.
I
It's
understand.
important, but I understand your point also, because it is in the county.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We would like, we still want to follow up with the county with the schedule of uses, let them know that it is not in there. And then explain what the requirements for our I2 would, our heavy industrial would be. And, whether it meets or doesn't meet.
It's precedent.
This is really kind of outside of our box of consideration, honestly.
I just wanted to make sure that if we was, I have nothing against Centerton. I lived here all my life, almost 65 years old. I grew up here. But what I'm saying is I just want to make sure that if you guys took our area in, are you gonna make us industrial?
And sir, we don't take anybody's property. You have to voluntarily annex into the city. And when you do, it comes in as agriculture.
Okay.
Can you bring back in agriculture or your current use as long?
Yeah.
Until.
So if you volunteer
Until your property. It'd be for industrial purpose, so, that's how you guarantee that it's.
And that's what I wanted to make sure that you knew is that we're not gonna come in and say, you gotta be a part of the city and it's industrial. That's all something by choice of the property owner at that time. And there are laws where you can't just pick a piece of property way out here in our planning boundary to annex. It has to be contiguous with the current city limits. So.
Well, we appreciate each one of y'all to listening to this, because I know part of the battery thing's not really your thing, but to me, every one of you guys is gonna be around it. If it's there, you're gonna be there, because it only takes a few minutes to get there. If it gets on fire. And I appreciate Paul, he's done really good, and I'll be talking to him quite a bit more. Anyway, appreciate y'all's time. And we'll probably will try to look more on how you can change that, into,
Please do.
we will do that, but I appreciate your time.
Even though, and everybody that's here, that's out there, even though you're not, as you know, in the city limits, there's a 1 mile boundary around the city limits. Called the planning boundary that each city has jurisdiction in to kind of shape the growth in those areas. So if and when they do come into the city, they're, adhering to the rest of the city's plans. So this is, not this specific area, but as a whole, we've been discussing some changes, obviously in 2 years, there's a lot that's changed. And as Lorene said, that's something that's on our radar, but we haven't gone in and changed the spot in that spot. We kind of do it as a whole at one time. So please be on the lookout for those. And even though you're not in the city, please come and give your opinions on that. That's what we need.
So you guys gonna proactively reach out to the county or what's this? It's as far as.
Well, and that was my next question, Diane. What was the county? It was tabled.
Correct.
What were they waiting on from us?
They wanted to see what our future land use plan was, so that way they would have that, and I have provided that information to Benton County planners. And they also, another big reason, bigger than this, that it was tabled, because they really want more information on their plans, what.
For such a
They said that we
big-
would train, first responders and things like that. They wanted to find out, well, okay, what kind of training is that gonna be? Who are your people that would respond? The main reason for tabling, like I said, wasn't so much this, as they want more information on the project.
When we went there, neither the county fire marshal nor Paul had looked into this really at all. There was no comments from them at all. So a lot of it was they needed to do that. Plus, when you look at the plans, they're missing significant amounts of information. So they had to actually update the plans to show some of these things before they could make any action, because a lot was missing on this.
Yeah, I mean, for a development of that scale and size, those plans didn't look like they match the level of the development.
They try to get it passed without even bothering the fire.
Correct.
To me, that is the biggest red flag in this whole thing. How is that possible?
I found out the day before the county meeting and I spoke with the county fire marshal and the day of, and he had no idea any of this was happening. And it was that night.
Matter of fact, I'm the one that got a hold of Mayor Bill and told him, I said, does anybody know? Because I thought on the paperwork, it showed that the fire department, each one had to know, but when I called Mayor Bill, I thought they probably already knew. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. No, I called the fire department, and I'm saying, well, somebody needs to know because we're right here.
Sure, so.
Lorena, has anyone talked to the county?
We had to ask county for the information on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's not been any conversation.
We've had a little problem with the county getting us development plans for courtesy review. There's been a lot of things we've seen popping up and we're like, we've never seen that.
Right.
So I had requested them to do that. And is there anything there? And then we heard about this.
So I have a question because what you just said. Yet this was a county conversation, county issue, yet it's within our planning zone. So the boundary, I mean, and we have some jurisdiction in saying that. I mean, at some point it would come before us, correct?
No.
Based on how you just described it?
For courtesy review, so that if it's so our planning boundaries within a mile of our city limits, and that basically is those jurisdictions in that mile should send developments to us so that we have time to review them and compare them to our city code. In the event that it gets annexed, it should meet all of our requirements. So we should be getting projects from the county that are in our planning area, but we haven't been.
Yeah.
So things are popping up that we're like, huh, what?
Also, so many times we've only have a very short window to respond to our comments. So it's basically been at staff level.
So does that become a legal issue?
Not really.
We're doing it as a courtesy. So I remember making comments before and then just never hearing a follow-up afterwards. So whether they heed those or not,
Is on them.
Yeah, I mean, technically you can make the comments, they don't have to enforce them because they're only bound to their code.
But
So it's just a courtesy that we're asking them to send us stuff for considerate. For our input. It's not a
Right.
legal issue.
And just like when we get, oh, go ahead, Marie.
for subdivisions, we have it in our code that we have a approval authority for anything in our planning area. For developments, we do not have that. That is part of the new revision to the Title 15 development regulations. That we would oversee everything in our planning area.
But does that legally bind them to?
I don't think that
Yeah.
I
does.
don't think either.
But the plans will come to us for approval. Then they would do the courtesy review. Just like we do on subdivisions.
Say that again, I did.
Okay, right, with anything within the planning area. If we take on the approval authority for.
Right, we sent it to them,
subdivisions and Developments,
right.
then we are the.
We're the final say, but we sent it to them
Say.
for
We
courtesy.
would send it to them for courtesy
Right.
review,
For
Right.
development
just
and
like we do
subdivisions.
for subdivisions right
Right.
now.
And that still takes somebody at the county saying, oh, this is not in the county's jurisdiction. And sending them to the city if the developer, whoever, were first to go to the
That's
county.
the way,
It is for subdivisions.
yes, for someone to come in and yes. And the county has to tell them, no, you have to go to whichever city.
So,
And each city's a little different on what they review and what they don't.
but putting it into the code, then it becomes a legal issue.
Well, is that still a maybe?
I couldn't tell you until I saw what we had in the code, but because I think it's still their decision.
Yeah, Brandon, that'd be like me passing a code saying you gotta come on my
Right,
grass.
right. That's why, yeah, that would be, I don't know how that would work.
But if we change it to us being the approval authority, then that's where the jurisdiction should lie. And the county should honor it.
Wouldn't they have to give up that authority?
Since it's not in the city. See, and that's where I'm thinking, we'd have competing authority over it.
But
I think that they would have.
that's
Because I know like Bentonville, they do both. Certain cities, they'll do both. And there's other cities, they don't do either. And some are like us, just do subdivisions.
so.
But I would
Diane.
like to also include beside our land use, I would also like to include our schedule of uses and also look at our zoning for the I2 and see how compatible it is.
Yeah.
for our-
And that's what I was gonna say. I don't know if we've responded to them yet. It sounds like probably not until after this meeting.
We had responded to him previously, but
Sure.
for the upcoming meeting, no, and we're also waiting for additional information to be provided on the plans. Also, in fact, Alan just sent an email yesterday asking, what the status was of the updated information.
Yeah, I think everything Lorraine just said about the, obviously our zoning information out there, our schedule of uses, I think is an important one.
And also
you would think,
ability of use.
well, and you would think they would know our questions, right? Those are pretty standard, but send them those, as if they're the ones making the zoning decision. And let's just send them any information that we can, that's our code that we would follow.
The information that you're sending them will contain the information that that type of facility is not within our industrial
It is not
criteria.
specifically on our schedule of uses as an allowed or conditional use.
So if that type of facility is not within our industrial criteria, then that should have some determining effect on whether they approve that or not. It seems to me like.
That's what I'm saying. This is just one of those uses that it was, I could believe, outside of what we had in our minds of what would be in an industrial use. So that's.
Is there a way to
If
make
it's
a,
not listed, then it comes to the planning commission to determine whether that use.
well, and that's what I was gonna say. Is there a way to tell them what we?
District. That's the information that we'll look at.
I was gonna say, can we tell them that we for sure would make them come through as a conditional use or not, but I don't think we can.
I think it's fair to say that it would at the least be a conditional use.
Okay. Yeah, let's include that as well.
Definitely not just an allowed use.
Right.
Can I make one comment on what I see on the screen right there?
Sir, can you come up and state your name?
Tim Whitaker, Road 14860.
Is this about the land use?
Yeah, I just want to make the red right there, just so you understand. 95% of these facilities have been built in the last 18 months. Most are not operational. You've had 20 fires and most of them aren't even up yet and they're brand new. That's 2 years. What does it look like in 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, 10 years? So.
Thank you.
Keep that in mind, is some of the stats that maybe a little bit.
Well, really, that has no bearing on our discussion
No, I
tonight.
understand.
I just put it up there for information for you guys if you had a question about how many there were, you know, what kind of failures or fires there have been.
So this place was gonna have no water.
Ma'am, if you're gonna speak, can you come up and state your name?
They also said that they would have no water.
Can you do your name and address, please?
My name is Cindy Norton. I live at 14570 Bethlehem Road.
Thank you.
I'm 30 feet from the property that we were talking about. And they also said that there was to be no water, no utilities at this site. So if it did catch fire, how would our officers?
I don't think that meets fire code.
It's a gray area.
Really?
It's an unmanned place too. There's nobody.
It's unmanned. There's no occupied buildings. I mean, I'm digging deep. I'm scouring UL listings. I'm scouring NFPA. ICC, the International Code Council, really doesn't have a whole lot on these facilities, but NFPA does. UL certainly does. So that's what I mean whenever we're doing our due diligence to make sure separation distances are adequate water supply. What is going to be required and how can we do this the safest way possible?
It's gonna be completely AI. It's gonna control the whole thing. There won't be anybody there. Any utilities whatsoever.
Is there anything else we can add to this?
I don't think so. I think we have a good start and I think Maureen and I are gonna go. You're gonna join me?
Yeah, I asked you.
Yes, I'm asking you now.
When's the meeting? I don't.
You were deflecting, you were.
Number 20th.
Yes, sir.
Pilgrim, I've got property at 14532 Bethlehem Road and 14591 Bethlehem Road. And I just want to make a short comment. Number one, I'm really proud of my neighbors. Because people within 500 feet, that's 4 of us, are the only ones that got noticed on the whole thing. So my comment is, this planning board thing, if we didn't raise a fuss and get all the other neighbors involved with it that are obviously going to be affected, where would we be? We just let them put in this new technology without any safety aspects and then have to live with it after that. So I don't know if you noticed in all the chat around here, but there's really a lot to be desired when it comes to the planning. As fast as we're planning and as fast as we're growing, I'm glad I don't have your job. It's difficult to know what's coming down the pike. But I think this one deserves a lot of extra work to make sure either we don't have that in our backyard or at least at minimum make it safe for everybody. It won't be just the people in 500 feet of it. It just amazed me that that's all you got to do is notify people 500 feet for the property. So that's my comment. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Is everybody here right now a resident out there? Okay. Pretty much everybody? Okay. Yeah, good.
Didn't show up tonight.
They couldn't make it. They
Sure. Well, good job to y'all for communicating and getting everybody together, and getting on the same page. Yeah. And we wouldn't have, it sounds like we didn't even know about the county meeting until the day before.
We'll have a couple hundred county meetings.
It's growing.
Yeah. So we're gonna take what we've discussed tonight. Staff's gonna relay that to county. And it sounds like we're gonna be in attendance at the next county meeting as well on the 20th.
Yes, sounds like I might need to bring a pillow.
Yeah. And maybe
Thankfully, I don't live
a
far.
taser.
I don't need that. I'd rather just have a pillow.
No, also, I mean, say one thing is, if they put that out there, it is gonna affect everybody. Since you drive really close, so it is, they need to listen to you guys a little bit more.
Well,
You're right there.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming out and bringing that to our attention. Our staff's gonna be fully prepared to go in there and share our thoughts on it. It sounds like Mr. Paul has been digging in.
We need him.
I will be there.
All right. We can close this item at all? Yeah. Other business. B, election of planning commission officers. What we need to do? All of them? Some of them?
All of them as usual, chair, vice chair. and secretary.
Okay, I'm gonna nominate Jeff to be.
Can I just do it this way? Can I move to keep the same chair, vice chair, and was it secretary
Secretary.
as is?
Second.
Want to promote yourself?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, if you wanna be like. I mean, you can promote yourself here.
No, y'all do a fine job. Thank you.
Does anyone else-
Motion and second unless Brandon.
I mean, unless
Who's seconding it?
someone that does not want to keep their.
And I made sure Jeff was okay with it.
Everyone want to keep secretary?
Was he okay with it?
Somebody make a motion, things like.
Yeah, I did. Get seconded. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with how it is, Devin.
I'm good.
You don't really do it.
So,
We need the roll call vote.
Okay, we need a roll call on that?
Yes. Well,
Oh, just a.
Devin.
So we have,
Didn't you know
All in favor, aye? Aye.
Any opposed?
does everybody know who
the officers are.
officers are?
Yeah.
No, wait. I don't think. Devin. Second.
No, Devin wasn't there.
Devin has the easiest job.
Because his job got taken away from him.
That's hilarious.
Did you used to write all the?
No.
I don't.
It's always been an option.
What
What does he actually do?
To make sure that the minutes are being.
I bet he does that thoroughly.
And everything,
I read them every time.
So moved.
Take notes.
and bylaws.
Either way, because this was
It was
pretty much wasn't there.
Egg second by Tony.
Tony.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But we used to do it every year when that election come up. There was the option to do the minutes and we always gave it to Todd. Or,
Well, we
it's paid.
we always either had a staff or someone.
Yeah, it's a paid to do it, but decline, we always got somebody.
Just to make sure the bylaws and all that are followed and.
Where were you tonight?
You mean Googling?
I do have some announcements besides those that are listed. So. Tomorrow, there's a ribbon cutting for Walgreens at 10 o'clock if anyone would like to attend. Bill's going to perform the ceremony or that ceremony.
Are they serving food or anything?
Yes, I'm sure they are.
Blue shots.
Prescriptions.
Scripts.
On Friday, there will be the city, there is a mayor's challenge on who can raise the most money for the Salvation Army ringing the bell. So,
At the neighborhood.
so it is it's at the Walmart Neighborhood Market from 4 to 7 on Friday. So if you want to make your contribution at that time.
Was that when planning's doing it?
Mayor.
No, the mayor.
The mayor or whoever fills in for him.
Oh, well, who are we competing against? Other cities?
Other cities.
Oh, okay.
Rogers.
excited when I thought it
Bill
was-
said.
Well, I
Senator's
might
Raised
be.
the most money the last
I don't know. who
3
all.
years in a row.
Oh, really? Put that on Facebook or something.
The busiest neighborhood market in history.
You don't
Got a pretty good chance.
and the pride of knowing you won.
I'm trying.
I think they should make the other
I'm-
mayors wear a Centerton is great shirt, but.
Can I second that?
I'm letting them know about the.
Here soon?
Bell challenge.
We'll be.
Horns and all.
And is it just you or do you have other people that are?
Oh,
helping?
no, I got a whole cast of people there.
A whole cast.
Hey, you got, no, just real quick, you gotta use your assets, good. You know, we're competing against Bentonville, Rogers, the county, and I actually bring the fire department and I bring the police and they're at the.
Planning's not good.
I got Mr. Sparky there.
I think you're okay with that.
Becomes. Yeah.
It's Paw Patrol,
Aw.
So we'll have all the dolls, we might have Santa. And that helps.
What is
more
it?
money, yeah.
No,
We let the kids take pictures.
great.
Been upgraded.
Right, that's right.
All right, Saturday,
Saturday.
Christmas parade at 3 o'clock. And then the next Saturday, Santa's gonna be driving around town. Okay, so those are just some things.
Where's information on those two events? Is that on Facebook?
I don't know, I kind of.
Yeah, it's on there.
You can put the route out there.
That's why I was letting,
Right out there.
I was letting y'all know because I just learned about it all today.
Santa will be next, I'll post it next.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask.
Right on that fire, fire.
I think that wraps it up, but we got a few people in the audience. Did y'all have anything to say or talk about?
TJ Wells, 640 Hawthorne Way. Just want to thank you guys for your work and effort and diligence of the future land planning for this community. So new to the area and excited to be here. And so just happy to sit in. Hope to be at more of these.
Thank you. Where are you from?
It's a good question. Colorado, Iowa, Texas, Nevada.
So everywhere.
Yeah, you can pick.
Well, welcome to Arkansas, welcome to Centerton.
If you want to get involved, I think we have, I don't know if the parks board, but there's a few.
We have one opening on the Parks Board if you want, like to join me.
All right, well, thanks for coming. Thanks for sticking with it. Nothing else? Motion to adjourn?
Oh, he beat me.
Somebody needs to motion to adjourn.
He's still moving.
Oh, okay.
All right, Devin so moved and who's seconding?
Prior to the movement.
I think it almost sounded backwards.
Oh, it's because he's.
Yeah.
He always said